Artery Recordings.
Hey guys, it's Shandan from Artery Recordings doing another video blog. On the line with me is Dan Tsurif from Mercenary Management. Notable clients are Black Veil Brides, Black Label Society, Coal Chamber, a bunch of others. Also, Dan's worked at Sumerian Records in the past for 4+ years. Pretty impressive, roster of experience there. Perfect guy to ask, our first question today, which is, how do you go from a local band to a more established international big professional band? Any advice for us, Dan?
Wow. There's no one roadmap to success. I think if you're at the local level, I firmly believe you need to be the kings of your local scene. And that means, planning your shows out right, getting together with the other local bands that are similar, maybe even a little different. It's like if you're a punk rock band, you can still play with a hardcore band, or your hardcore band can still play with a metal band. It's all cool. You just need to build up that little scene, and you need to be the kings of your scene. Once you're able to draw, 100, 200 people locally, then you can start spreading out, maybe doing some regional shows, going, maybe 30, 50 miles out. One thing I've seen work really well with some of the smaller acts I've broken was doing something called leapfrogging. Where let's say you're an LA-based band, but you want to start playing in Vegas. You become friends with a band in Vegas and say, hey, we'll go out to Vegas for the weekend. We'll open for you guys. In exchange, you come out to LA, open for us. And that's called leapfrogging. And in fact, a band you and I used to work with on called In This Moment, that's how they started their career, was becoming friends with bands all over the country and just driving out and doing these weekend or maybe week-long tours and playing shows with the other local bands they became friends with. And now In This Moment is tearing up the charts.
Oh, for sure. And they started somewhere, and that's a perfect question of an example of a band that kind of started out at a local level, started you call it leapfrogging, I think I call it show swapping. There's tons of different names for it, and where you want to hit these bigger other markets. But realistically, from a band standpoint, if they say, hey, I want to play Phoenix, Arizona, them hitting up these venues isn't effective. Venues don't really care, right? Because they get so many emails. That's kind of the benefit of doing maybe leapfrogging, show swaps, where you kind of correspond with a band that actually has a draw versus, if somehow you get booked by a venue or a shitty bar, you might show up and play to 5 people, right?
Right. And that's just the first step. You need to prove that you're a draw and really bring people in. In rock and roll, it's all about the performance. Yeah. People love going to shows, and we're very fortunate for that. Get in your practice, build it up, become the kings and queens of your local scene, and spread it out like that. And then you can start utilizing like viral components like Facebook and Vine and whatever else works for you to get the word out there. But I think first and foremost, you need to build that core fan base, and that comes from playing shows and talking to people and getting it out there.
Yeah. And it's, the lazy way is just doing the internet kind of push, like copy pasting Facebook messages, which, don't get me wrong, that's a great way to promote. It's hard because there's more competition, because everybody and their mom or 14-year-old kids that are in bands are pushing the same people that you are pushing. And if you can kind of team it up with grassroots, talking to people in real life, playing shows, and internet, it's kind of a win-win situation. Like, it's a lot better in that capacity, right?
Absolutely. I've always been a big supporter of guerrilla level marketing. Getting out there, handing out the flyers, and not just relying on Facebook. What happens if Facebook goes down? What happens if all your friends, all of your fans leave the service? We saw it happen with MySpace already. And realistically, when people go onto something like Facebook or Instagram, they don't always want to get marketed to. They want to look at pictures of cats or pictures of their friends, whatever. It's not always just about the musician. But when they're at a show, they're there just for the music.
Yeah.
Or not just for the music, but they're there for music. They're ready to listen, to buy, whatever. You need to be able to do everything, and getting out there, getting face-to-face with fans or potential fans is the best way to do it.
That's true. I feel like it's probably good to mention too, though, that like when you do social networks, like you don't want to get bogged down too much with every social network, you know, like it's good not to just strictly focus on Facebook, because if you said like MySpace collapses, you know, like you know, it happened, MySpace is gone, all that work, you know, promoting to people is pretty much gone, you know, unless they crossed over to other networks. But that might happen with Facebook, so it's good to have multiple things, maybe SoundCloud, stuff like that. But you know, there's these outlandish third-party companies that are starting out that I've never heard of, and some bands, they just sign up for all of them, and they try to keep, you know, 100 social networks relevant with all their data, and it's just not good.
You're really just, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're spreading yourself too thin. You know, I think realistically pick 1 or 2, maybe 3 sites that you're really good at, that you can become a master at using, and focus on those. You know, yeah, every band should have a Facebook page. Every band should have an Instagram. Or if the band doesn't have it, the individual members should have it. Yeah. Things like that. You know, you should have a website, but you know, you need to focus your time wisely. Like I would never recommend to any of my artists to have, you know, 100 different social media platforms. I say, you know, have the big ones. Have, you know, your YouTube covered, your Facebook covered, this and that. And if you want to put all your energy in one, focus on your personal Instagram. Build your own brand. Build your name up. That's how, you know, you're going to get fans. You're going to keep fans drawn in. There's only so many times you can talk about your music and people can see the same post everywhere they go. Yeah. You know, you need to get personal with it. You need to bring in compelling content.
Which that being said, you can't just copy paste sales messages. You got to give them photos. Absolutely. What are you doing? Kids want to know, like, oh, we're in our van. Oh, we're eating. Like, you know. Absolutely,
it's social media, not marketing media.
Yeah, totally.
You know, people don't go on Facebook with fans don't add you to their newsfeed with the intention of being sold to or advertised to. Yeah. You know, they want to see what you're eating for lunch. They want to see pictures of your cats, just like everyone else.
Yeah. You just got to be sneaky about those ads, because you got to be like, oh, hey, we're doing this fun stuff. Here's a meme, blah, blah, blah. Buy this album. Oh, yeah, hey.
Here's a picture of my cat eating lunch on top of my new CD.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be devious about it, because kids don't want to be advertised to, you know. It's kind of interesting to see how quick people turn off on that, you know. But yeah, these are all great steps, you know. So kind of recapping what we talked about, to step from a local band to kind of more an international one is play bigger markets with other bands, you know, do leapfrogging.
Already established bands that are already established.
Yeah, already established. I mean, perfect example too is back when I used to tour, you know, way long time ago in bands, we would do that kind of thing, show swap thing, where, you know, we would do a few Arizona dates, because that's where I'm originally from. And they'd be packed, you know, we'd show swap with somebody in a different state and they'd be empty, you know, and then we had to reassess and be like, let's find a different band, you know, and then sure enough, we eventually are touring with a band where we have sold out Arizona dates, sold out California dates, and then we go to the next state, you know, and then before you know it, you've got these, you know, like pockets of fans in all these cities, and you've kind of established, you know, these routes where you can sell money and be viable.
Absolutely. And you know what, once you have that and you're able to plug it into like a nice looking spreadsheet, or some easily digestible, you know, information, you can send it off to a record label or to a potential manager or booking agent, and that's the kind of stuff they look for. You know, when you say we've got pockets of, you know, fans all over the Midwest, here's our finals, we were able to draw, you know, 200 people consistently every time we played Detroit as a headliner. That's something that a record label will want to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the typical, you know, speech, and I'm sure you've gotten it a billion times like me, is, you know, no tour history, stuff like that, but it's like, oh, we've got what it takes, you know, we'll do anything, like, we just want to be famous, like, give us an opportunity. I'm like, well, okay, you guys you'll do anything it takes, like, get on the road, play a tour. And they're like, absolutely. Well, I got school, like, I can't just like leave, you know, I got this job. And I'm like, cool story, man. Like,
yeah. And you know what, kind of on that note, another tip I will say, your local promoter should be your best friend. Yeah, if you're in a local band, your promoter for your local venues, they should all be your best friend. They should always have you on their mind when a national act comes through that needs openers. Mm-hmm. You know, you should constantly be following up on them. The promoter is the person that's going to help you get onto these bigger shows, maybe even connect you with these other established artists in different areas. And a lot of these guys, they already know all the managers, they already know all the booking agents, all the record labels, because they work with these national acts.
Yeah. And, you know, added point to that is, you know, when you are friends with promoters, like, you know, they're going to give you pre-sales, you know, so that they can make back their guarantee. Because realistically, national touring acts in the venue cost a lot of money, you know, and bands get pissed off. Why do I have to sell tickets? And it's like, because you got to kind of counteract the price for the opportunity, you know. But, you know, as long as you come through on your pre-sales, you know, and sell tickets, promoter's going to be stoked. As long as you kind of stay loyal to that promoter too, that's going to benefit you instead of like jumping ship, you know, at a bunch of places. Right. And then 3 is just being overly, like, just being friends with them, being upfront and stuff like that. I feel like if you continue doing those three things, you're probably going to consistently get those opportunities because you're going to be the go-to band as opposed to another that's like,
absolutely,
hey, I sold 2 tickets and oh, sorry, you lost, you know, $3,000 on your show. That's not my problem, you know.
Right, absolutely. It's building these trusting relationships. Yeah. And, you know, once you experience building that with your local promoter, you'll be able to use that knowledge and that experience to build relationships with your management, with your booking agency, your publicist, I mean, your record label. Everything, all these people are important parts of a successful band.
Yeah.
You know, it's more than just recording a song and putting it up on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Dan, for answering some of these questions. You know, I'm sure a lot of these guys got some valuable information, you know, that they're going to utilize in their career. But, you know, thanks for watching. This is the Artery video blog. If you guys want to see future ones, please subscribe up here. There should be a button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it below. We'll get to it. But thanks again, Dan. Much appreciated. And talk to you soon, man.
Thanks for having me.
Artery Recordings.